Throughout my 4 years of playing Identity V, I've encountered quite a few scary experiences that still bother me to this day. I'm sure others have faced similar situations too. In today's video, let's dive into those spooky yet unforgettable moments you always come across while playing Identity V. Ever had any of these experiences yourself? Let's see if they ring a bell for you in this list. But before we dive in, I want to make it clear that this video is all about having a good laugh, not about upsetting or making anyone look bad. So, starting off, picture this. You're just chilling, decoding away, and suddenly, wham! The hunter jump scares you out of the blue. Seriously, it's like a horror movie moment. I gotta admit, those jump scare experiences always mess with my head. And hey, I bet they've got you too at some point. I mean, seriously, who expects a hunter to just randomly pop up, right? But guess what, buddy? That's what happens sometimes when you're playing as a survivor, especially if you come across jump scare specialists like Mary, Joseph, Yidra, and Wu Chang. Especially when it comes to Wu Chang. I personally think he's the ultimate jump scare master among all the hunters. If I were to make a list of the top jump scarers in the game, I'd definitely rank that skinny dude right at the very top. You might anticipate a jump scare from Joseph or Yidra, and sometimes from Mary as well. But it's not the case with Wu Chang, especially right at the beginning of the game. Let's talk about ranks in Identity V, shall we? They're like mood-destroying monsters lurking around every corner, ready to make your shiny days into a gloomy one. So, here's a tip for ya. If you value your sanity, steer clear of ranked matches. Especially when you're a survivor main, one thing that can really get to you is encountering bad random teammates. However, labeling someone as a bad random is quite subjective and not so straightforward. Some might say that a player who gets knocked down early despite putting in effort is considered bad, while others might see them as just unlucky. Based on what I've seen, you can usually tell a bad player when they're missing that game sense. It doesn't bother me if someone can't kite for more than a minute, but rescuing from the basement when the hunter has detention? That's a textbook example of a bad random in my book. Basically, running into players with no game sense in ranked matches is like signing up for a depression you never asked for. Yet, somehow, it keeps happening. You know what's even worse than getting bullied by hunters? It's when you get ganged up on by 4 survivors in a ranked match. Trust me, when that happens, you'll seriously consider hitting that uninstall button. Well, let me tell you, sometimes the horror game Identity V can really deliver a horror experience for the hunters, not the survivors. For hunter mains, diving into a ranked match is like putting their emotions on a gamble. You might feel on top of the world when you catch all the survivors, or you might experience sheer terror trying to escape from them. The scary feeling escalates when you encounter survivors who are basically harassers. Imagine this scenario. You're playing a rank match one day and find yourself facing off against Patricia, Norton, Ganji, and Chi-Chi. To make matters worse, you forgot to bring the excitement trait. Yeah, that kind of experience would definitely leave you feeling scared, and maybe even considering hitting the uninstall button. Let's be honest, the ping in Identity V isn't exactly the best. You might have internet speeds as fast as a NASA rocket, but the ping in Identity V will always feel more like that of a snail. Having a bad ping is a total mood killer during the game. If it happens while you're dodging hunters or chasing survivors, let me tell you, it's enough to give you a headache that'll have you running to the drugstore for some aspirin like there's no tomorrow. Makes you wonder if the game was secretly made to boost the sales of that medicine? To make matters worse, it happens way too often after every maintenance. And on top of that, many people complain on social media that they're just told to improve their internet condition when they bring it up. Sound familiar? If having a red ping isn't enough to make you angry in this game, then how about getting penalized because of the lag? Unfair, right? Well, welcome to Identity 5, folks. I've had this kind of experience way too many times. Picture this. You're in the middle of a game, and suddenly, your ping shoots through the roof. You're hit with a reconnecting screen, and then boom, you're forced out of the game. Frustrating, right? Well, brace yourself because the suffering doesn't stop there. You try to get back into the game, only to find out that the opposite side is already close to winning. Talk about rubbing salt in the wound. Trying to win feels hopeless because it's impossible to catch up with the hunters or survivors, so you end up losing. Okay, it sucks, but it's kind of expected. You can still contain your anger, at least to some extent, but then you receive a lovely email informing you that some of your points were deducted because you were detected as AFK in the game. Okay, what the fuck? Well, getting disconnected can sometimes be due to our internet problems. But there are cases where it happens for reasons unknown, and it's not necessarily our fault because our internet is working fine. So why the deduction of points? Well, my friend, once again, welcome to Identity 5. Campers! They're one of the most annoying things you'll encounter in this game, and let's face it, you can't deny their existence. I mean, it's fair to camp against survivors since it's a strategy, right? But anyone who plays as a rescuer, or has the duty to rescue someone on the chair with campers around, will have a terrifying experience that they might not be able to handle. Usually, when facing campers, the rescuer would just ignore the cry for help from the survivor in distress. But sometimes, people who believe they are Power Rangers in disguise rush to the scene, attempting to rescue the survivor as if it were a noble cause. However, this is a bad idea from the start, especially when they are not rescuers and don't bring the Tide Turner ability. Trying to rescue against campers is downright terrifying for any survivor, especially when the hunter's rocking those top-notch campers like Leo Beck, Hester, or Bonbon. Let me tell you, it's one of the scariest experiences I've ever had in playing Identity 5. I can confidently say that the Gacha system is the true horror of Identity 5, defining it as a horror game in its own right. Picture this. You've saved up countless Gacha pulls, hoping to score some legendary S-tier skins and limited A-tier items, only to end up with a bunch of random stickers you've never even heard of. Now that's a nightmare. Opening a gacha can be stressful for some people, and let me tell you, it often feels like you're losing more than winning. That's why when you see other people getting a good gacha, you can't help but feel relieved. This is evident in many Identity 5 content creators who share their joy with others by making content about their gacha openings. However, when we reflect on our gacha luck in the end, it often feels like all we can do is cry. Yet, when the next season begins, we find ourselves diving right back into the same horror all over again. Well, I guess that's the nature of a horror game after all. Believe it or not, sometimes the matchmaking in Identity 5 is imbalanced. You might not encounter this issue too often in ranked matches, but you'll definitely experience it occasionally in quick matches or duo hunters. The matchmaking is considered balanced if both survivors and hunters are in the same tier, or if the hunter's tier is slightly better or worse when survivors' tiers are mixed. However, occasionally, you'll encounter a hunter who is in a higher tier than all the survivors, or vice versa. For me, it's not really a problem because I'm just here to have some fun. But for others who are, let's say, training for their ranked matches, it can really make them rage, leading them to say things that are perfect for making memes. And there you have it, the complete list of scary things you sometimes encounter in this game. What's your take? Do any of these resonate with you? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section. And if there's anything else you'd like to add to this list, go ahead. Thanks for watching, as always.